one who we've not really spoken about in depth since he signed is Martin Zubimendi. We've spoken about a lot of the new signings in depth, likes of Gyökeres, Madueke, Mosquera, but Zubimendi just seems like he's sort of quietly gone about his business since he joined. So, I mean, just first of all, want to get your overall assessment on how you think he's done since he joined the club.
I just think it's a class act. I genuinely think he's an absolute class act, Zubimendi. This has been a baptism of fire for him coming in, the start that he's had to go through with the trips, the away games he's had to go, to go through, getting used to the hardest position, without a shadow of a doubt, the hardest position in this Arsenal team to play and get used to. And he has had no time to really adjust. He has just been thrown into the Premier League in absolute some of the fiercest games you can play. And I think he's been brilliant. I really do. Some games better than others, but I think on the whole, he's been absolutely class. I thought he was brilliant when he came on against West Ham. He just hit the ground running like that. And I just think he's quality. I really do, Ben. I think he's been a fantastic signing. I knew he was going to be a fantastic signing at the time. I was convinced of it. And nothing has changed my mind on that. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. And the way he is, the ease in which he has taken on that position and that responsibility that position holds in this Arsenal team. You go back to Thomas Partey, it took Partey a long, long time to get used to playing in that role when Arteta sort of really started building the team in the way that he wanted to build it and play in the way that he wanted it to play. It took Partey a long time to get used to that role. Zubimendi has come in, new country, new league, new teammates, big price tag, and he's just done it so well. And he's brought more to his game than I thought he had, in an attacking sense as well. So no, I think he's been absolutely class.
Yeah, and especially as well because this is a signing that we were looking forward to since I think January. It was first reported that it was, close to, well, not close to completion, but Arsenal were looking likely to sign him, and then we had to wait for like another 6 or 7 months until he officially joins. And then, like you say, he's really hit the ground running. You mentioned there about how he's brought more to his game. I think even though he was a sub in the West Ham game, he still made more line breaking passes than any other player on the pitch. Is that maybe the aspect of his game that you've been most impressed by? Of course, his defensive contributions, they don't go unnoticed either. But if there was, say, one aspect of his game that pleased you the most so far, what would it be?
I think it is that because I just didn't expect it. I knew he was, you don't play in a Spain team. And I knew he was very good and very good with the ball. And I knew he'd be able to move it forward and progress it forward well. You look at the numbers behind him when he arrived and how quickly he did sort of move the ball through the lines. That looked like something he was going to bring, but I just didn't quite think he'd do it so high up the pitch than we're seeing at times. He's got much more ability in that final third than I expected. And I think that's a real bonus as well. And it's a real weapon for Arsenal. We're seeing that with a lot of the goals that they're scoring. He's scored a couple himself already, obviously, but then, he's also played a huge role. Well, both look at the game against West Ham, it was Zubimendi's pass that sent Eze away for the first goal, wasn't it? And it was Zubimendi's pass that sent Timber away to win the penalty. He's just got, he's everything I thought he was going to be and more. And, that's a really, really positive sign because I thought he was going to be good, but I didn't expect he was going to be this good. Certainly this soon anyway. It's a long, hard season. And let's see how he handles it as we get into the cold months of February and January, February, March, when the games are coming thick and fast and you've got half a season of Premier League football is sort of in your legs already and you're tired. Let's see how he handles it then. Hopefully he'll handle it fine. But for now, the start he's had, excellent signs.
Yes, hopefully no cold Tuesday nights in Stoke, unless we get them in the FA Cup. But we don't know that yet. Anyway,
I'd
yeah. So
rather
back
avoid
to
that. I'd rather avoid that.
me too. Yeah, still got painful memories from I think 2009, 2010, whenever it was. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I don't want to bring back PTSD for either of us.
No.
So back to Martin Zubimendi. So you mentioned Partey in that last section. He's one of the sort of really physical players that Arsenal had in their team, and Martin Zubimendi, he's not short. I think he's 5'10", 5'11", but compared to some of Arsenal's real physical monsters, he's not in that category. You look at the likes of Rice, Gabriel, Saliba, these sort of 6'2", 6'3" players, and his frame isn't exactly really bulky either. I mean, is that something that you're worried could be a weakness or exposed as the season goes on, or the fact that he's got these players like Rice, Gabriel, and Saliba close to him that might not be a concern?
doesn't really worry me just because what we've seen from him so far in some really tricky away games as well. And also his heading ability is fantastic. The amount of duels he wins in the air. So he beat Dan Burn in the air the other day against Newcastle. And that's something that people have spoken about before when he arrived. You'll be surprised at how good he is in the air for someone of his size and stature. And he really is. You know, he's got a leap on him. He times that leap really, really well. And, you know, we've seen him score a goal with his head already this season. So, no, I'm not really worried about that. I think he's coped with it. I was worried about it initially when he first came and thought this start to the season was going to be pretty brutal for him. It was a real baptism of fire. So that's where my worry was. But the fact we've got through these fixtures now and he's handled them, you know, pretty well, very well, that it doesn't really concern me. I have to say, I think he's shown more than enough that he can mix it in the Premier League and he can cope with the intensity and the physicality of it all despite that stature. So no, I have to say, I'm not now anyway. I'm certainly not worried about it.